All right, so how's it going out there?
Well, it's been quite exciting actually.
Give us some of the highlights of the day. What was going on the first half of the day?
Well, the first half of the day, I saw practically all of it. The second half, I missed some of it. The first, so I can give you a better report on the first half. The first half was all about Ben Waters. And basically, you had the two main witnesses of the first famous night of the Rendlesham Forest incident, Jim Peniston and John Burroughs, and their attorney. His name is Jonato or something like that. I have it somewhere here.
Yeah, I saw that they had their attorney with them. What was that all about?
Well, because they had a big announcement. Yeah, the attorney is called Patrick Frasconga. And he's, I guess, from Jackson, Mississippi. And of course, Nick Pope. As you know, these guys are finally getting their book out. I mean, I don't know when, but within the next few months, I guess, so pretty soon, which is going to be written by Nick Pope now, or I mean, co-authored by Nick Pope. So he was the fourth speaker, and they devoted two full sessions to the Rendlesham Forest. But the big news is they put a press release, and hopefully we'll be able to interview them tomorrow, is that they are suing the Veterans Administration because they want to get their medical files. They had been having a fight, I guess, with the Veterans Administration for a long time because the medical key years, the crucial period between 1979 and 1982. So this is not just, of course, the Ben Waters is in December of 1980, but this would be the period right before the incident and then in the 2 years after the incident. They can get hold that somehow the files are missing.
And this is important because they say they were given a shot while they were being debriefed, so they probably want to find out what the heck it was they were
Yeah,
given.
correct. And they have other medical issues. So this got so, it is kind of so outrageous. Well, I can understand any American citizen or from any country for that matter can understand that certain projects are classified or whatever, and for national security you can withhold some things. But here we have the case of people who serve this country honorably, and they cannot even get proper medical treatment because the government won't release their medical files.
And I
So
understand some of the former Congress members were concerned about this as well.
yes. Well, in they originally the guy that dealt with their case was Senator Kyle. You know, the former senator from Arizona. That is because John Boros is a resident of Arizona, so he contacted his senator, and Kyle, I guess, through his aides or whatever, tried to get these files. At one point, it was so outrageous that they even got an answer that these guys had never even served on the Air Force. Can you imagine? So that's why they finally lost their patience, and they got this attorney who's obviously interested, wants to help them, and they're going to sue the Veterans Administration unless the Veterans Administration produce their files right away. This panel of former congressmen and one senator got so outraged by this situation that they themselves volunteered for them to write a letter to both the Veterans Administration and President Obama. So
Really?
actually, yeah, I mean, well, it remains to be seen, but they
Well,
said that on the record. So that means that these guys, they might be able to get some progress because if one thing is for them to write a letter, but these guys are pretty prominent. Some of them, like Gravel, apparently was a pretty prominent senator, and it's much harder for the government to ignore a letter signed by five congressmen and one senator.
right. And let me ask you about this because this has been a pleasant surprise. Seems like these former Congress people are actually getting really involved and really into the
Absolutely,
subject.
you should hear their comments. I mean, remember that when the news was first reported, like I don't know, 3 weeks ago, a month ago, they were very aloof, and they said yes. So, I mean, we agreed to do it because they're being paid and so on, but they didn't want to make any statements or something. You should hear some of the statements. Well, maybe you have been following the on the live streaming. I don't know, but some of the statements they've been making are very, very strong. So they
What's an
are being
example?
convinced that this phenomenon is significant, and that some of these issues are not even, like they said, this is not even about whether they are UFOs or not. This is about like medical records of people that serve this country, or issues of secrecy, of national security. So in some cases, it doesn't even have to be, the UFOs is almost incidental to other issues that involve secrecy and people who serve this country and so on. So you can see that as the every day progresses, these former congressmen are really getting interested. They're getting quite excited about it.
Right. And what were the topics for the afternoon?
The topics on the afternoon were the nuclear issues. The cases with the ICBMs. We had our friend Captain Robert Salas and a few other witnesses. And some were direct witnesses to these incidents. Primarily, the more famous, as you know, is the Malmstrom incident of 1967, I think it was, when it is alleged that simultaneously, when there was a UFO sighting over Malmstrom Air Force Base in Montana, and I believe this case is probably discussed in that book about the history of UFOs in Montana, which you have been reading. They were all the silos start malfunctioning. So so there was obviously an investigation and a cover-up, because obviously this affected national security, whatever caused the malfunction. Obviously, officially, the government didn't want to say, hey, it was caused by UFOs, but obviously they were concerned that this could happen. And so there was an investigation, and there was and one of the guys whose name I forgot right now, but I have it in my papers.
But that's what's interesting. There's several military witnesses, probably the biggest panel of actual military witnesses this afternoon, right?
Right, yeah. This afternoon was all military witnesses. Yeah, so it was Salas, a guy called Scott, Schindel, Frantenmacher, and Dolan. Dolan being is a historian, but he's of course familiar with all these issues. One of these guys is the guy that had done the technical report, I believe, for one of the subcontractors. So that was quite interesting. The congressmen also were excited about it, and because of the implications and national security. And he got into a lot of comments about nuclear policy of this country, whether, and also how the Pentagon wastes a lot of money in systems that may not really work.
Right.
So there were some issues about nukes in North Korea and Iran and things like that, which were interesting. But not directly related to UFOs, but they were brought into the conversation.
Well, it's great.
By the congressmen, not by the witnesses.
Right, and that's what's great, because, the congressmen could have sat there playing Sudoku on their cell phones or something, but and we didn't know how they were going to react. So it's good to see that they're really getting involved. So what's going on tomorrow?
Tomorrow we have the Roswell panel. In the morning, I guess, various issues. The morning session is called various issues. You're going to have Peter Davenport, who runs the National UFO Reporting Center, as you know, Linda Howe, and Michael Heseltine, who is, the British policeman that got involved in crop circles. And he's also involved to some extent in the Bentwaters case, but he did not participate in that panel. And then on the second session in the morning is about documents, UFO-related documents. From the names here, it looks like it's going to be a lot dealing with Majestic, because I see Dr. Robert Wood, Linda Howe, and Stan Friedman. So that sounds like Majestic, although it's listed as document. And in the afternoon, it's all devoted to Roswell. Two full sessions to Roswell with Don Schmidt, Stan Friedman, Kevin Randall, Colonel Jesse Marcel Jr., and then on the second session, we also have our friend Dick French, which now he's become pretty famous, and I guess it all started with an interview that Tom and I did, and that's when he was still living in Sedona. Well, he came, as you know, to our office, and then we came to see him in Sedona. Now he lives in Las Vegas. He's obviously not directly involved with Roswell, except that he claims that he had read some document that confirms the magic, that had the magic acronym or something that
Gotcha.
confirmed that there was a Russell crash. Well, that's based on my interview with him.
Right.
I'm not sure what he's going to say on the testimony, but I assume that it's about that. So that's the session for
Right.
tomorrow. And then on Thursday, I'm going to be speaking all through the day because it's all international.
Right.
It's the first day is all for South America, and we have a very distinguished number of experts from South America here. We have Jevaed from Brazil, AJ, we have.
Yeah.
But I don't think the media issue is the great success of this thing. I think what it is the evolution of these congressmen.
Right.
That's the more interesting part. How people that probably in the beginning reluctantly they agreed to do it. They're getting well remunerated, as you know, and this is now all over the press, so we know how much they're getting paid, 20 grand a piece. But that's what this matter. Actually, they're working very hard. You can tell from the way
Right.
they're asking questions.
Yeah, that's great that they're so interested. So we'll catch up with you and hear what they have to say tomorrow.
Sure. And
All
also,
right.
hopefully, we'll get the interview then tomorrow with also with our friend from China, which, as you know, Professor Sun Shili is an old friend of mine. I mean, I had met him many years ago, and he was the original founder of the China
Right.
UFO Research
Yep.
Center. So he's part of the history of ufology in China.
Yep. All right, great. Thanks.
All right, Alejandro. We'll talk tomorrow then.